G'day, I'm Andrew Marshall with the Northern Australia Climate Program at the University of Southern Queensland, and this is a short summary of the Bureau of Meteorology's climate outlook for the northern half of Western Australia for the weeks and months ahead, issued on the 24th of October 2024. So we'll take a look at the rainfall outlooks to begin with, starting with these outlook scenarios, and this is the rainfall totals that have a 75% chance of occurring for your region. So looking ahead to the 3 months from November to January as we move into the wet season for Northern Australia, we're seeing a 75% chance of up to about 50 millimetres or so for eastern parts of the Gascoyne, up to about 100 millimetres or so for parts of the Pilbara, between 100 and 200 millimetres for southern parts of the Kimberley, and around 400 millimetres or more for northern Kimberley regions. And if you'd like to drill a little deeper into the forecast, you can use this magnifying glass feature where you can specify a location, and this little box appears which breaks the forecast down into the chance of different rainfall amounts occurring. This will give you an idea of how conditions are likely to be compared to the historical median, and just ask your local climate mate to go through this with you in more detail. Now taking a quick look at the Bureau's northern rainfall totals since the 1st of September. And areas in green indicate where more than 50 mils of rain has fallen. This is considered to be about the amount of rainfall required to stimulate plant growth. And now let's look at the temperatures, and the differences from average for maximum temperature here show warmer conditions of up to about 1 degree above average for the 2 weeks from the 29th of October to the 4th of November. And here the average is calculated over the 1981 to 2018 period for this time of year. For minimum temperature, we're also looking at warmer than average conditions over the next 2 weeks. Looking at the chance of extremes map for the 3 months from November to January, we're seeing an elevated chance of unusually warm days and nights across the state. And by unusually warm, we mean the highest 20% of historical temperature records for this time of year, based on the 1981 to 2018 period. Now, these long-range forecasts are influenced by several climate factors. So let's have a quick look at the latest climate driver update from the Bureau. And the El Niño Southern Oscillation is currently neutral, with 2 of the 7 climate models that the Bureau surveys suggesting the possibility of La Niña conditions in December and January, and the remaining 5 models are in the neutral range. If a La Niña does develop, it is likely to be relatively weak and short-lived. And remember that signs of La Niña are most relevant to the climate of the tropical Pacific region, and that the long-range forecasts for Australian rainfall and temperature that we've just looked through, they provide better guidance for local climate. The Indian Ocean Dipole, or the IOD, is neutral, and most climate models suggest the IOD is likely to remain close to neutral, slightly negative for the rest of the year. Also keep in mind that IOD forecast skill is typically low at this time of year, beyond about 2 months ahead. As for our other climate drivers, a strong pulse of the Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO, has developed over the maritime continent to the north of Australia, and it is forecast to move eastwards over the Pacific in the coming week. And this typically influences an increase in rainfall over some parts of northern Australia, particularly the northeast at this time of year. And finally, the Southern Annular Mode, or the SAM, is forecast to be neutral over the next 2 weeks. Now turning to the pasture growth outlook from Long Paddock for the 3 months from October to December, we're expecting to see pasture growth returning to northern, central and eastern parts of the country in response to the expected rainfall in the months ahead. And now finally, let's take a look at the Cattle Comfort Index prototype forecasts from the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacp.org.au. And these forecasts go out to about 10 days ahead and are shown at 3-hourly intervals, which you can move through using these controls here under the map. So index values between 30 and 35 degrees represent moderate stress to cattle. Values between 35 and 40 degrees represent severe stress, and values above 40 degrees are considered extreme. And we are expecting varying heat stress conditions at times over parts of Northern Australia in the days ahead. As always, for more information and updates, visit the Bureau's climate pages at bom.gov.au/climate. If you have any questions about recent conditions or the use of weather and climate forecasts, please reach out to your local climate mate. You can read more about the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacp.org.au. See you next month.